Hi, this is Mike from Velo Duo. Today we're going to talk about the Velo Orange Threadless bottom bracket. This is one here. This is what you get in the packet. You will see that it is marked on there that it's for a 68mm wide bottom bracket shell, and there are some limitations as to the shells you can fit it to, and I'm going to tell you about those now. But first, why would you want to use a threadless bottom bracket? There are three main reasons. The first is that the thread in the bottom bracket shell of your frame is damaged, and so you can't use a threaded bottom bracket. The second is that particular threading is no longer available. I'll talk about that in a minute. And a less common one, but still used, is that you actually can't find a threaded bottom bracket long enough for your application. For example, if you're using an old school triple like a Stronglight 49 or a TA Cyclotourist. So what is a threadless bottom bracket? Well, it does have a thread, but in this case the thread is on the bottom bracket unit itself and doesn't need to use a thread in the shell of your frame. So the bottom bracket actually squeezes itself into the shell. I'll show you how that happens in a minute. There are a few measurements you need to take before deciding to use a threadless bottom bracket. The first one, probably the most important, is that the shell width of your bottom bracket on your frame is correct. The Velo Orange threadless bottom bracket is designed to use a 68mm shell, which is what the standard is for road bikes. Some older rallies have got 71mm, and that's fine too, but mountain bikes have got 73mm to account for the wider rear ends that they have for bigger tyres, and this is not really suitable for a 73mm bottom bracket, so it needs to be a road shell 68 to 71. So the next thing you need to check is the shell diameter. These bottom brackets are designed for a standard ISO shell, or they're sometimes called BSA, which is the standard now on road bikes for some years, and that's about 35mm diameter. There are some shells that are wider than that, a bigger diameter. Mainly the ones you'll come across are the Italian, which is a 1mm wider. This bottom bracket will not work properly in an Italian shell, so you're looking for a 68 to 71mm wide and that 35mm diameter bottom bracket, most standard road bikes. The next thing you need to check is the length of the bottom bracket spindle you require. This is normally determined by the crankset that you're using, and is available with new cranksets from the manufacturer. If you're using an older one, you best measure the old spindle size that you had that works. The final thing that you need to check is the taper on the axle. You can see that the bottom bracket spindle there is tapered to take the crank. That needs to be a JIS taper. Some older cranks have an ISO taper, mainly Italian and French. These can be used on here. They'll just sit probably a couple of millimeters further out. The taper is actually the same angle but slightly different dimension, so the crank will sit a couple of millimeters further out. So if you're using an old ISO crank on this, you probably need to go down one size in bottom bracket. So how does this bottom bracket work? Well, you can see that you have a fixed side that goes in on the left hand side of your frame, and you have a threaded side which goes on the right hand side of your frame. Basically what happens is that screws onto there, you tighten it up, and it does two things. It grips onto the edges here. This will grip onto the edge of the shell, as will that one, but most importantly these collars here are on a taper, and they will tighten up as you screw it in and make a very firm fit indeed into the bottom bracket shell. No other bottom bracket that we know of, threadless bottom bracket, does this trick, so this is why this particular one is more secure and tends to work better. You're going to need a special spanner to tighten the bottom bracket up. It needs to be tightened up very firmly. This is the one that we sell to go with the bottom bracket, but it is a standard spanner for external bottom bracket cups. So you may already have one, or you can get one from most good bike shops. This is the one that we sell along with the bottom bracket that we use ourselves in the workshop. So it does need to be tightened up pretty tight. You can see that there are holes that you could use a pin wrench on. I don't recommend that because I think it needs to be tighter than you can reasonably get with a pin wrench. So get one of the spanners, they're only a few quid. I'm not going to go into detail of how you install these bottom brackets because Velo Orange have already put a very good video up on their site on how to install them. This is really more about the application of this particular bottom bracket and where and why you can use it. I thought I'd just show you, we keep pretty good stocks of all kinds of bottom brackets, from standard English ISO through to French, and again all the sizes of threadless bottom bracket are available, and Italian. If you've got a bike with an old Italian frame, that'll need an Italian bottom bracket. So we keep the whole range. We keep the tool that I showed you, and also the tool for the standard bottom bracket. So if you need one, we've probably got it. Okay, so that's the Velo Orange threadless bottom bracket available from veloduo.co.uk in all sizes. Thanks for watching.